Hey, it's Dorleen, and today I'm working on a card following a couple of challenges. One is create a cool background, and the other is a sketch that has this really cool kind of wavy line in the middle of it. So I created a mask just using regular notebook paper and repositionable glue stick. And so as you can see how easily that was to move, I had first put that in the middle, and then I decided to put it a little bit further down because I'm using two different tones of blue to create like a water slash sky or water meets sky background. I just have a paddle brush, and I'm just applying that ink right on there, as you can see. And I don't show the entire thing, but you get the idea. Now, a lot of times when you're doing something like this, you do want to start the brush off to the side first before kind of going onto the card stock. But I really wanted those clumps because I wanted to see a difference between what looked like, like I said, water versus sky. I'm using a stamp set that I have from Stamping Up. It's an older one, and this stamp is like a sand kind of stamp. So I'm using that same, it's called Pewter from Close to My Heart ink, but now I'm doing it kind of in full ink, so to create those like little granules, and then also like a generational just to add a little bit of shading. So when I opened up that stamp set, I had already had some images stamped, which was cool. I didn't have to do those, but I did go ahead and stamp a couple of shells because I wanted to add a little bit more there. So after I removed the mask, you can see that it left a white area. I stamped a sentiment there. Again, that's kind of following the sketch, and the sketch is from Stick It Down, and the Create a Cool Background challenge is from Heart to Heart, which is a Close to My Heart challenge blog. I'll put both of those addresses down below in the information box, as well as my own blog where you can see more pictures and also get a list of the different items or products that I used. So I just grabbed a bunch of water-based markers from my stash, and using the acrylic block, I just put a little bit of marker, and then I used the water brush to basically watercolor onto these shell or these stamped images. I wanted it very, very pale, so I added a lot of water and just a little bit of color. You saw me earlier add more water and then just kind of flick that water brush onto the card, so I got a little bit of drops too. I think that was really cool and kind of added to that cool background. And once I do that, since the ink or watercolor, whatever you want to call it at this point, was very faint. It was easy to dry, so I didn't have to wait too much for dry time. Now, when I color in one of the shells, you'll see that I started using kind of a pinkish color marker, and it really didn't leave any color when I used the watering, so I just put that marker straight onto the shell, and you just saw me do that right there. And then I'm going to grab a glitter marker, and it's clear, and I'm just putting on all of these shells or all these little stamp pieces just to add a little bit of sparkle. The glitter markers are not really like a huge in your face, glitter. It just really kind of a little bit of sparkle, my goodness. And then I just stack them up. I'm trying to figure out what's the best or most pleasing position on these. Now, normally you kind of stick to that, rule of threes. I have 4 stamped images. I think it works fine. I did trim off that one coral piece because the stem was a little too long, but I just messed around a little bit and basically just used liquid glue to glue them directly onto the card. The larger shell, I will use a foam adhesive to lift that up a little bit. So that card base that I was working on is a standard 5.5 by 4.25, and of course I trimmed it down 1/4 of an inch on, both or 2 sides, so that now it's 4 by 5.25, so it'll fit really well on a standard card, which is 5.5 by 4.25. I decided I didn't want just that plain white background of the card, so you'll see in a little bit that I'm going to add some ink just right on the edges of the card base, and that just, I was going to matte the other part, and I thought, God, that's just so much easier and less bulk. I did grab some silver thread, and I just looped it around the card front and I'm going to tie a bow. It does take me a while. A lot of it is cut off, but I am probably the worst bow tire. And I tried to do a bow. It was way too loose. So I eventually tied a knot. And then after tying the knot, then I tied the bow. I probably should have cut a little bit more so my fingers could have worked a little better. So that might be the problem why I'm the worst bow tire, but it all works out. And that silver thread is so pretty, and again adds a little bit of sparkle. One thing to note, I post 2 videos a week. One is always scrapbooking, and the other is whatever it is I'm creating in the command center, which in this case happens to be a card. Hey, I want to talk to you about this real quick. So I had this roll of 3D foam adhesive, and that very last like loop around that cardboard base is basically useless because it's not double-sided anymore. But I thought that's a lot to waste. So that's why I'm still using it, and I'm just using some liquid glue on the cardboard side because the other side still has adhesive, but it still works the same. Back to my a little information about my channel. Again, I post 2 videos a week. One is always scrapbooking. One is whatever it is I'm creating in the command center, which is the name of my craft room, and also my blog. My blog address will be down below. And if you're interested in, like I said, I'll mention the products that I used, and also more, well, pictures, close-ups, different views of the finished project, and also the challenge blogs that I mentioned earlier. So again, I was looking at that thinking, oh, I don't want just plain white. And that's when I grabbed that paddle brush, put some ink just around the edges because that's the only part that's going to be showing. I was debating whether to put some adhesive or foam adhesive and lift that up, but I decided after all just to put some just to stick it straight on to the card base using some double-sided tape with my big ATG gun. But I hope you like this video. Please give me a thumbs up if you do. If you're not already, hit that subscribe button down below. I appreciate it. You can also hit the notification bell so you can be notified of any new videos. I added more sparkle by adding 3 little dots of this clear, I think it's called icicle stickles, and that pretty much finishes the card. But I think it turned out so pretty. I hope you agree, and I hope I inspire you to create something similar, especially by making your own mask and just kind of making a really fun inky background. Thanks for watching. Bye.